Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Actors Academy. Thank you for tuning in today. It's always great to have you guys here, and I'm so glad that the information I give is able to help all of you. I've just gotten a lot of comments recently about people who have got booked for projects, or they've gotten callbacks, or they've just been overall better in their acting. So, again, I'm so happy that I've been able to assist all of you in that. So, in this video today, we're going to be talking about something that's very important and vital for the actor. This is going to be something that you don't always hear. And there's three things in total when it comes to what's working and what's not working for an actor. The three big things. There's more than that, but there's three big things. And I say that because it comes down really to what we see on camera. I get so many clips that are sent to me all the time by actors who want me to see their work. Sometimes it's before they submit it for a project. Sometimes it's just they want to see how their acting is doing. So I get clips submitted to me all the time. And there's three common things that actors are always having trouble with. And we're going to be talking about one of them today, and that's going to be in the eyes. The eyes are so important for the actor. And people always say it's the gateway into the soul. And it's true. The eyes tell a story. And you can, if you just had right now, if I, got a cardboard box and put it over my eyes or anybody's eyes, you can tell that there's a story happening. You can tell when someone's sad, when they're bored, when they're happy, and that all comes from the eyes. Now, the eyes, though, again, is not something that's always talked about. It's usually really heady, or we try to talk about, hey, well, what about this past emotion or past memory or all these things or these methods? And you can go that route. I always say you can, but you don't need to. You want to get to Disneyland, that's fine. You know where you want to go. That's one of the first steps, is knowing where you want to go. How you get there, that's all up to you. Whether or not you want to take this freeway or that freeway, or you want to take the streets, or you want to walk, you want to take a bike, a motorcycle, that's up to you. How you get there doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, it does in terms of if you want to be a proficient actor and a healthy actor, then it matters tremendously. But you can get to Disneyland going many different ways. I prefer to go the route and, take the helicopter. That's my goal. That's my approach to it. But, you have to sometimes work for you. Maybe you're afraid of heights, so you're going to go and you're going to drive there. It's all up to you. But there's different ways to getting to where you need to go. But there are some things that are important that you have to focus on and really think about, and that's the eyes. So when it comes to the eyes, it's strictly just the eyes. I'm not talking about anything above it, not talking about anything below it. It's not your, cheeks, nose, mouth, eyebrows, hair, none of that. It's just the eyes. That's all I'm talking about. Some people are going to confuse this with smizing, if you've heard that before. All that means is smiling with the eyes. I don't know who came up with that, but I think it was Tyra Banks that might have come up with it, actually. But anyways, it's smizing, but it's not smizing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about there being a life in the eyes. A true life in the eyes. And when I say life in the eyes, it's really when you're actually listening to people. And you have it all the time, whether or not you know it. If you're talking with your best friend, and you're having a great time, and you're laughing, and you guys are chit-chatting, there is a life in the eyes. There is a presentness. You're really listening to the person. It feels like you're really there. When there's life in the eyes, it feels like you're there. It feels real. That's what it is. And just to make this simple, you guys can write it down. You can think about it however you want. But this is what it is. When there's a life in the eyes, it seems real. That's all you have to think about. Get that point down first. When there is a life in the eyes, it seems real. When there's no life in the eyes, it seems fake or it seems put on. We've talked with people before who don't have lives in their eyes, and it's off-putting sometimes. You see it a lot when people take pictures. There's some people, when they smile, it's a true smile. You really see the happiness in their eyes. Then there's other people who smile when they're smiling, but there's nothing really going on in their eyes. The mouth is moving, the eyes aren't doing anything, and that's in the term of smizing, when you see the life in the eyes in that moment. But it doesn't come down to just smiling. It comes down to anything, just really listening, having life in your eyes. You don't have to smile. You could literally be sitting down and listening to somebody and have life in your eyes. You could have to tell a story that breaks your heart and you have life in your eyes. You could be mad at somebody and have life in your eyes. Somebody could be mad at you and there's a life in the eyes. It's not smizing. It's not smiling with you can't always smile with the eyes. This is one of the problems that, people get when it's talking about the eyes because they've heard of smizing so much. But that's only for pictures, people. Only for pictures. I tried telling an actor this before, and they kept bringing it up. They're like, yeah, so it's like smizing. I'm like, no, 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 no. Smizing, that's just for pictures. That does not involve being recorded on film for a character that you're doing. It doesn't apply to that at all. Because you may have a scene, if you're in a horror movie, and you're having to run away from somebody, and you're smiling as you're running away from this crazy clown that's trying to chase you, you're not going to get hired for the part. You're going to be the actor who smiles too much. You can't always smile. Some moments it's right to smile, other moments it's not. In your everyday life, if you smile, great, smile all the time. You're a very pleasant person to be around. But when you're in scenes or you're shooting a scene or a movie, you have to make sure you're being present in that moment and really listening, because it doesn't always require you to smile. Anyways, that's one of the problems that actors mix up a lot when it comes to this point in the eyes. So, anyways, again, it's strictly just talking here about the eyes. Now, here's the problem that people get. There's no life. And what I call this state, it's a daydream state that they get in when we have no life in the eyes. And I call it the daydream state because we can all relate to this, because we've had it before. Anytime you have daydreamed, anytime in your life, and it's when you're daydreaming and there's all this stuff going on around you and you don't even realize what's happening. You're truly daydreaming. It can be about anything. It could be about your crush. It could be about a project that you have due in a week. It could be about something that happened in your past that just happened now. Everyone has daydreamed before, or at least we've witnessed people who have daydreamed before. When you're in that state, and you're in that daydream state, you don't realize everything that's going on around you. And in our eyes in that moment really aren't looking or listening to anything. We're really just like in our heads. And then when somebody calls us and like, hey, 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 oh, and then we realize, well, yeah, what's up? And then you're present again. Then you're back. But before that, you're in this whole daydream mode, this daydream state. This is one of the problems that actors get into a lot when they're acting and they're talking with somebody. Now, it's not a full daydream state, because a full daydream state would be you not listening or hearing anything. That would be you in the scene and the person's talking and you don't even hear them talk, so you don't even know when they're done. You're not in that full, but you're in a half daydream state where you're in your head, but you're still listening to the person talking to you. A lot of actors get this problem when they don't have their lines memorized. A lot of you may know this feeling. When you're thinking about your lines as you're talking with somebody, and then you're waiting till they're done so then you can say your lines. But in that moment, you're not really listening, because you're trying to think. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to say next? And that's not listening. When someone's talking to you, you're talking with your best friend, and they're telling you this great thing that happened to them. You're not thinking, oh, what should I say next to what they're saying? You just respond. And you're just talking with them. That's the life in you. That's the life coming out of you. But if you're there and you're having to think, oh, what do I say next? What do I say? What do I do? And this happens to a lot of people. The perfect example of this would be when people go on dates. Because this is when they're nervous and they're scared and they're trying to portray themselves in a certain way. So, they're thinking about what to say next. Like, oh, they mentioned this. Oh, maybe I can talk about this. Or maybe I should mention this. They're not really being present in that moment. So you want to be present. You want to be alive. When you're alive, the eyes are alive. They're really listening. But when you're thinking about what's going on in your head, or you're nervous, these are the two ways to get you out of it. When you're nervous or you're in your head, that's when the life is gone. The life is not in the eyes anymore. You're half daydreaming. You're there, but you're not listening. And that's where it seems fake. That's why if you've ever recorded yourself before and you don't know what's happening, you're watching it, but there's something about it that you're not liking. So you recorded yourself on tape and you're looking at what you did, you're looking at the scene, and then you realize something about this isn't working and you don't know what it is. A lot of times it's in the eyes. You might have multiple things in there that are going on, I don't know, but it's the eyes. The eyes are one of the biggest problems that actors have. The point is to first realize this. Realize, okay, the eyes are important. That's the first thing that we realize. Then we realize, okay, what is it doing that's making the mistake? Okay, we're getting into this half daydream state. Now we have to try and figure out the solutions. See, I don't want to just tell you guys what the problem is and not give you a solution, because then that doesn't really help you. So here are two solutions for you, and you have to implement both of them. It's not just one of them. The first one is going to take time. Both of these really take time, because with acting, I've told you guys before, this is a business where you have to be in it for the long run. Because it's not going to be next week that you all of a sudden you come out, you're like, hey, I'm coming out to Hollywood and I'm going to be famous in a week. It doesn't work that way. You have to take your time, and you may never get anything out here. It may never happen for you. It's very possible. Only 1% of actors ever make it and make it successfully. Other actors, they're trying to make it and they never do, and then they go and get some other job. So this is a business that you have to try and be in it for the long haul. So you're going to be in it for a long time. That means you also are going to have to spend a lot of time sometimes working on yourself to be better, whether that be for interviews, whether that be for your acting, whatever that may be. So when it comes down for the eyes, to build that life in there is about really listening. So we're in a society right now where we're always doing this. We're always on our phones. Anytime we get into an uncomfortable moment, we don't face that uncomfortable moment. We strictly go to our phones. Or if you've ever been in line anywhere, you're in line, you're, wherever you are, maybe you're at Starbucks, you're looking at, what you're going to get. I don't know. You're in line somewhere, and there's people in front of you, there's people in the back of you, maybe there's people on the side of you. Nobody is talking with each other if they don't know them. They're all here and they're all on their phones. They're not paying attention to the life that's around them. They're not paying attention to everything in their environment. They're just here on their phones. That takes you out of really being present in there in the moment. Actors ask me, what's the difference between actors in the 50s and actors now? Actors in the 50s, they were forced to always talk with people and listen because that's all they could do for entertainment. Now, since we have phones all the time, we can do 1,000 different things to entertain ourselves. Then you had to entertain yourself with other people, and other people were entertained. So they really were talking with each other and really listening. You have to get into that habit. An example would be if you ever went to, you go to the store, right? You're buying something. You go to Target. You go and you buy something, and the common thing people ask you all the time is, hi, how are you doing? But anytime they ask you, hi, how are you doing, they're not really usually listening to you and talking to you. They're always doing something else. They're always pulling out a receipt here or getting a bag here or scanning your items here, and they're like, yeah, hi, how are you doing? And they're doing this. They're not really listening to you. If you went on a date with somebody and you said, hi, how are you? And they said, hey, how are you doing? And they're doing this. They're not listening to you. You'd be like, hi, I'm right here. How you doing? They're not listening if they're just here doing something else. And that's an example of you can see of another person not listening. But then you do it too, because then you go and they say, hi, how are you? And then you go, oh, good, how are you? And you're pulling out your wallet or your phone or whatever you're doing. You're not listening to them. So it's a constant shift of not listening that people interact with all the time. But you have to listen and you have to be present with people. So the next time you go somewhere and you have to interact with somebody, be present. When they ask you, hey, how are you doing? Even though they might not be listening, you can listen to them and really look at them and be alive and be present with them and go, hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing? You can really be present and real. You don't have to just go, oh, hi, okay, let's just go through the motions. That's all it is. It's just going through the motions. A lot of actors all the time, once they've rehearsed a lot, sometimes they rehearse too much in a sense for certain actors where it gets to the point where it's not alive anymore. It's going through the motions. There's no life left in them. So you have to make sure you're always listening. Always listen to people. Talk with them more. So when your friend's talking with you and you're hanging out with a group of people, don't go on your phone. This is one of the things I can't stand. I'll go and have dinner, right, with say 4, 5, 6, 7 people. You all go out to dinner, and then you have 6 people all on their phones. It's one of the most ridiculous things in the world. Everyone's out here to hang out and interact with each other, and then they're all on their phones doing something else. These are moments in your life where it's time for you to look up and talk with the people around you, not be so committed to something that's on your phone that you can literally go and look at later. There's so many people now that have to look at the time. They look at it, they're like, oh, okay, it's 5:15. They put their phone away, then they pull out it again to look at the time. Okay, 5:18. Nothing changed in those 3 minutes to look at the time, but we've become so addicted to the technology and things that are right in front of us right here that we lose the interaction with life around us. So you have to change that. That's a habit you have to change. Sometimes it takes a good month, 2, 3 months for you to get used to it, to really listening and interacting with people. This is step 1 of what you have to do. You have to really start listening and interacting with people, not just going through the motions, but really listening to them and then responding to them and telling them your story or whatever, but you're listening. Point number 2, this is going to be something that you also have to implement. Again, As an actor, you're in it for the long haul. Now, this is going to be something that you only have to do, start it today, for the next week, or for some people, maybe 2 weeks. Usually a week is fine. It might be a little long for some people, but a week or 2 weeks for some. And what you have to do is you're going to take out your phone and you're going to record yourself. You're going to put it on the table and you're not going to do any acting at all. Don't record yourself acting right now. Because what you're going to do is it's just going to be some habit that you already have. Maybe it's some monologue you've done or some scene. You've already built an idea of this character. So you're already going to be fake doing it. So don't do that. What you're going to have out your phone and you're going to record yourself. Now you can record yourself for, maybe 10 minutes and then you can watch it and then, you record yourself for another 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be the whole 2 hours necessarily, but you're spending 2 hours completely focusing on this. So what you do is you're going to record yourself and you're going to just tell a true story. It could be something that happened to you today, last week, something in the future you're looking forward to, but you're going to be talking about it into the camera for a straight, a good 3 to 5 minutes. That's what you're going to be doing first. This is just to get you comfortable with it because it's going to be new and it's going to be kind of maybe weird at first for you if you're not used to it. This is what you have to do, though, just to build your comfort up. Next, in the middle, what you're going to do, after about 3 to 5 minutes, you're going to start making up a story. Now, this story, though, it has to somehow tie into what you're talking about here. You don't want to completely go off the rails. So if you're talking about, a time you were at the park with your friend, and then you all of a sudden switch and say, oh, there's this huge volcano that just appeared out of nowhere. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You still have to somehow tie it into your story. So, okay, you're talking about you and your friend at the park. And then you talk about what you're making up the story. There was these dog trainers who were all walking their dogs, and then all the dogs ran off their leashes, and then they all started running. And then you see tens and dog trainers running to try and go and get their dogs. Whatever the story you try and make up. Then you're gonna go back to telling 1 or 2 minutes of telling the truth. That's all you're gonna do. So you're gonna go and you're gonna spend 3 or 5 minutes telling the true story. Then you're gonna spend 3 minutes making up a story. Then you're gonna spend the next 1, 2, 3 minutes ending it, but you're going to be telling the truth now. So this is your process. This is what you have to go through. Again, the first part of it, that part is just to get you comfortable with it. And this part where you're making it up, this is where the magic starts to happen of when we're able to realize what I'm talking about, this daydream stage. And this is now so you can see it. Because once you see it, it's a little bit easier to kind of work up to beating it, getting away from this whole idea of, daydreaming. So what you're going to do is after that, you're going to go and watch it. And you're going to see, and that's why you have to spend 2 hours every day on this, just so you can begin to see what I'm talking about. And you're going to see that there will be moments in there where you can really tell that it's fake. You're thinking, you're in your head, you're trying to make it up. You don't want to come across as you're thinking. You want it to be real. So you're thinking that if somebody was to watch this, they wouldn't know you're making it up on the spot. You're trying to be as real as possible. So as you're going through, you're going to watch it and you're going to see when it's fake. You're going to be able to tell in the eyes. You're going to see when it's not real. You're going to just be able to see it. There's no other way to explain it. You're going to see when it's not real. And then, who knows, maybe in that first take, you'll find a moment of when it was real, when there was life in the eyes. Maybe it's the second, maybe it's the third time, maybe it's the third day. But you have to find when it's real. Once you see it, once you find that moment when you're like, okay, this is what he's talking about. I see the daydream state, and I see the state where I'm really alive. There's a life in the eyes. Once you see that, then you have to make a mental note of it, and if you can, keep that clip so you can find that moment of when you're really alive. And that's what you have to keep with yourself forever. Anytime you're ever acting again, remember what it was like when there was life in your eyes in that moment. That's what you always have to do. You always have to have that life, because then it's real. You have to bring it to everything that you do. Now look, if you're telling it and you're happy in that moment, that doesn't mean that when you're doing a scene and you have to be angry, like, I need life in my eyes, so I'm going to be happy. No, it just means that you still have to have that same glimmer in your eye, that same life. It doesn't mean you're going to be happy all the time or angry or however you told or made up that story, but it just means that you're finding out where the life is, when you're really alive in those eyes. Now again, if you do this for a whole week, 2 weeks, you're going to find several moments of that, where you're going to find when it's fake and then when it's really real. And when it's real, that's what you build off of. So then you know what you're always chasing. Because then if you ever record yourself, then you find and you're like, okay, this was not real. I did not reach this state of really being alive. You can see it in your eyes. Now again, There may be several other things that are going on that are, whacking yourself up a little bit, but this is one of the most important ones that actors fall into this trap. It's the eyes, and you really, really have to pay attention to this. So now I said there are three main points to this. We found out one. We talked about one of them. It's one of the most important ones. If you want to find out the other two, go ahead and you can take a look at my 10-hour acting masterclass. I'll leave that down in the description below or in the comment section. It's 10 hours of pure acting knowledge from all the knowledge I've gained from people I know who have gone to Juilliard, Harvard, Yale, RADA, ACT, actors who have been on Broadway, off Broadway, in movies, in TV shows. It's the whole shebang of it all. So if you want that, I'm going to leave that down in the description below or in the comment section. Again, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.